Hi, I'm George. I am part of the management at LTI. A kind of broad overview of my role is to manage the contracts as they come in when they get passed from sales to installs. Then we manage them and see them through from beginning to end, try and enforce quality and just general things like that. My background in the coating, I've got about 15 years or more background in applying coatings to roofs, to walls and various other things like maybe a bit of PVC and flat roofs. And so I've got a broad knowledge about refurbishment of exterior stuff. So I've done various courses, health and safety courses, and I've done courses and train guys up when it comes to refurbishing the PVC windows, PVC doors, composite doors, stuff like that. Been with LTI from the very start. LTI was conceived, for want of a better way of saying it, and I've kind of started off as a fitter for LTI, and then I was promoted to be an installations manager, and recently I have been promoted to be contracts manager. An average day look like for me is a hard one to say. It changes all the time, so it does. An average day, I could be in here doing stock take. We could be at meetings, so we could try to plan the week ahead. We could be doing desktop surveys, which is where we look at each contract individually to look at access to see where it's going to need a site visit before we actually commence with the work, to see if we have to maybe get scaffolding or use our own scaffolding. Sometimes we'll go and we'll survey the walls to make sure the walls are fit for purpose before we apply the coating, which is important as well, because we don't want to be applying coating to walls that aren't fit for purpose. So an average day for me, it's hard to say, chops and changes, and it's all encompassing. It can be anything for helping clean up a bit of a spilt coating to fitting jobs, to managing the guys, to managing the managers, just everything and anything. We always aim for every single contract to run smooth, be a smooth road, not a bumpy road. It doesn't always happen. There is always wee bumps in the road here and there, depending on the surface or where it's access or what have you. But when you maybe get to the end of a job and you get the feedback surveys in, or we look at reviews, and our reviews are pretty much always very good. So it's great, and sometimes we maybe do the after call or have reason to go, and the managers will go and inspect jobs, then I'll maybe go after the managers. And for instance, I was in a job last week and he couldn't rave about how good a job we'd done, how good the installers were. So no, that aspect, it's fantastic, and it's kind of it's like a wee bit of affirmation that you're doing a good job and you're making people happy. So no, that's good. When it comes to safety standards, probably the first thing to touch on is roofs. The guys are well trained, so they're well trained. It's demonstrated to them repeatedly how to do anything. First of all, extending your ladder up to your roof line to access the roof. We supply them with a proper kit. If the ladders are inspected, regularly with the van inspections once a month, and if there's any ladders that are even slightly in doubt has been fit for purpose, then we bin them and get new ladders. So even for that early part to ladders, to using a ladder standoff, which means it's a wee bit safer than a ladder leaning against a gutter. So the guys are well trained, so that gets police. We've got 2 install managers that are out there, and specifically they've got weekly diaries or weekly work reports they need to do where they'll log, so they will not get put in the system where they've been. For instance, they may have went to install A's roof wash while they're doing it, and they'll go and they'll check and make sure that they're working by the rules, and most importantly keeping themselves safe. Again, when it comes to walls, we make sure guys are confident going up ladders. Sometimes they can go up 6-7 metres, so we make sure they're confident, make sure they know. We make sure they know how a ladder's meant to be. The very first thing when we're going to put a candidate through a training programme, the very first thing they do is they spend 2 days in the classroom learning stuff like the angles ladders should be at, don't put it on slippy surfaces, and just essentially how to manage a risk and bring a risk. There's a risk on everything. If you stand in a wee set of steps to change a light bulb, there'll always be a wee risk, but we try and manage that risk as much as possible and bring the level of the risk down as low as possible, which again, our health and safety record I think speaks for itself, and I don't think we're slightly successful at that, I think we're exceptionally successful at it. The short answer why they should choose us is because fact of the matter is when it comes to applying roof coating, wall coating, then us here at LTI, I've got a real good knowledge of what's out there and the people out there and the companies out there and what have you. And I've worked with 2 or 3 different companies, and LTI far exceeds the levels that they're at. So it does with everything. The product we use, I would say, is we use a better product than anybody else that's out there. Arguably the best product in the market. We're professionalism. We try and be as professional as possible. So we do, and I think we're in the most part we're pretty successful at that. Our customer service. Our customer service is again I'd like to think and the feedback we get from customers kind of approves what I'm saying here is right, but our customer service is exceptionally good, better than anybody else. Our installers go through a rigorous training programme. They get trained, and we don't allow them to go out and start applying coating, be it walls, be it roofs, until they've been signed off and they've been assessed that they can do it properly. I don't think any other companies out there do that. We service a guarantee, so we do. We don't just pay lip service to it and say to customers, no, we'll come back. There is always problems can happen and do happen, be it where it's a mistake we've made, or it's just something that's happened with the weather, a storm or what have you. Then we always come back out. We never just say we'll do. We do what we say.